There is nothing worse than starting off the year 0-1. It feels like your season is over before it even begins. But on today's episode, we're going to run through some of the overreactions that I have seen out there regarding the Broncos' loss to the Seahawks. But we're also going to get some, I would say good news, but some optimistic viewpoints coming in as well to not make it all doom and gloom after just a week 1 loss. But if you are not quitting after the loss in Seattle, I want you to show me by liking today's video. We've got a lot of football left, guys. I mean, it is just week 1. There are 16 more games in front of us. Do not throw in the towel. Hit that thumbs up button if you are hanging out with us even after the 0-1 start. Now, I thought you guys might want some somewhat encouraging news after the loss to the Seahawks. So I went back to 2020 and counted all the teams that made the playoffs in the 17 playoff format that lost in week 1. 26% of the teams made the playoffs that lost week 1, 15 out of 56. 25% went on to win the division. And actually 2 would go on to get the number 1 overall seed after dropping the first game of the season, including, well, not the Chiefs last year, but a few years ago. The Titans one year, and I can't remember who the NFC was. Oh, the Packers once. So there's a lot of football left. I don't want anyone thinking, all right, season's done, pack it up just because of a week 1 loss. Now, let's start with some of the overreactions following Sunday. Is it an overreaction to say Bo Nix is not the savior? Yes, that is an overreaction. Do not jump to that conclusion just yet. And that's coming from me, someone that was not super duper high on the Bo Nix draft pick. So if I can stand here and say, yeah, don't give up after week 1, you should really let that sink in. Now, let's be honest. Bo Nix versus the Seahawks, not good. I mean, just point blank, 138 yards, 2 interceptions, and the 2 picks were bad. I mean, he just threw it into triple coverage. Julian Love came up with a pick the first time, Reek Woolen the second time. Neither pick was good. It wasn't one of those great plays made by the DB or a tip pass to the line of scrimmage. Oh, no, it was bad. So there was not a whole lot of good to write home about. Despite Bo Nix actually getting off to a decent start and then going downhill, which is kind of just backwards. Usually you get off to a slow start and cook up, which is kind of what Geno Smith did. No, Bo Nix had a nice 3-for-3 drive to open up, and then it went downhill after that. Now, no rookie really impressed all that much on Sunday. Caleb Williams, the first overall draft pick, went 14 for 29 and 93 yards. He was holding on to the ball for a long time. He was running for his life at stretches, but he had a welcome to the NFL. This is not the Pac-12. You just can't run past every defensive lineman. Jaden Daniels did a lot of great things with his legs, but ultimately not a ton going on through the air. And then Bo Nix, who I am shocked had the most pass attempts of all 3 rookies who started in week 1, right? If I told you before Sunday Bo Nix is going to have 42 pass attempts, you'd ask me how many mimosas I had this morning. Like, there's no way you'd believe that because that didn't feel like a good game plan or just the DNA the Broncos wanted to have going into the season. But this was a welcome to the NFL moment for Bo Nix. This was something that I cautiously warned you guys about, that, hey, the preseason was awesome, and even I became a little bit of a sucker for it at times, but that was against the backups, against the Indianapolis Colts second and third stringers. Like, let's not pretend that they're going to be those same guys starting week 1 when the Seahawks have their starting 11 defensive players out there. But my big issue from what we saw at Bo Nix was what we saw last year at Oregon. Lack of downfield passing and successful downfield passing. 3.3 yards per attempt. I mean, just wildly inefficient. Horrible transaction. I want you guys to think about the NFL like you're going to the supermarket. You've got $75, okay? 75 plays you get to run. Now, do you want to spend 42 of those plays to get you 138 yards? No, that is a horrible transaction. You are spending over half of your allotted plays for 138 passing yards. You're just not going to move the ball down the field enough to put up points by doing that. So the passing yards and attempts the yards per attempt must improve. Remember the, nickname Check Down Charlie Bo Nix had at Oregon, and I was like, that's why I'm not super duper high on him, and everyone said, no, you're wrong, don't worry, he can throw the ball down the field. I'm sure he can, but I need to see it because we did not see that on Sunday. It quickly reverted back to what he did at Oregon. And unfortunately, the difference between the NFL and college, well, there are many, is checking down passes in college might work because there's a lot of open space with the wide hash marks and receivers can outrun DBs, and DBs in college suck at tackling. In the NFL, these DBs do not suck at tackling. So if you want to throw a little quick pop pass outside, cool. It'll work sometimes, but you're not going to get away with it for a long time. Now, for a half glass full approach, I mean, there have been some notable rookies as of late who didn't have the most stellar week one. Like CJ Stroud wasn't bad, but no touchdowns, 242 yards. Trevor Lawrence had an up and down game his first time out. 3 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Joe Burrow, 23 for 36, $193, no touchdowns, 1 interception. How about John Elway? He got pulled. He was benched for a 1-for-8 start, 14 yards, 1 interception. And we know what kind of career he would go on to have. So, no, Bo Nix's career is not over before it begins because of a one bad game in Seattle, a tough place to play. But for me, if there's one thing I want to see an improvement, it's downfield passing. Something we didn't see a ton of at Oregon, but Sean Payton was confident in those private workouts they did in the pre-draft process that they could get out of him. We still need to see that unlocked. Next overreaction. It's fair to blame the game plan. Is that an overreaction? No, that is not an overreaction. You can absolutely blame the game plan for, I think, a lot of Denver's failures on Sunday. And I'll explain why in more detail. But first, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams like the Broncos, the Rockies, the Avs, the Nuggets play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time has this awesome all-in pricing option. When you toggle it, it shows you the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. So once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Let's discuss the game plan from Sean Payton and the offense. I sure hope the game plan was not we want to get Bo Nix around 35 to 45 passes. If that was the plan, that's a bad plan. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, maybe as the game progressed, things got away from them. They felt like the only way they could move the ball was through the air, even though they weren't too successful at that, but they really weren't successful on the ground. I mean, look at the rushing stats against the Seahawks. Bo Nix was the best rusher. 5 carries, 35 yards, 1 touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin averaging under 3 yards a carry. Javonte Williams averaging under 3 yards a carry. I mean, nothing was working here, but I don't think the better idea or the solution is let's have our rookie quarterback throw it 42 times. This might not be a great option, but that's definitely not a good option. Now, I also think that you can nitpick just the overall lack of creativity in Denver's offensive game plan. Look at the pre-snap motion from NFL Week 1 before Monday Night Football. The Broncos ranked 31st in the NFL, only utilizing pre-snap motion 21% of the time. They can thank the Browns for being worse at 12%. Do you guys notice anything about the 8 teams on screen here who finished bottom 8? Browns lost to the Cowboys. Broncos lost to the Seahawks. Panthers demolished by the Saints. Bengals lost at home to the Patriots. Titans blew a 17-0 lead to the Bears. Colts lost in a close one to the Texans. Cardinals blew a lead to the Bills. And the Commanders lost by 2 scores against the Buccaneers. I'm not saying that if you run pre-snap motion every single play, you're guaranteed to win. But when 8 teams that finish at the bottom of pre-snap motion all lose, I think there might be something to it. I don't think it's a coincidence. So Sean Payton, get in your bag, dude. Get some creativity. Get some pre-snap motion. I mean, help your rookie quarterback out in a sense of, all right, let's put a guy in motion. And if the only thing it accomplishes, if it tells us if the defense is in a man or zone based on if the cornerback follows the receiver across the line of scrimmage, or stays, at least Bo Nix can have a little bit of a heads up in terms of what is awaiting him after he snaps the football. And if you trot out Bo Nix with another 42 pass attempt performance week 2 against TJ Watt and the Steelers, go ask Kirk Cousins how that fared for him. It was a bloodbath. TJ Watt and the Steelers defensive line dominated the Falcons O-line. TJ Watt will kill Bo Nix if he drops back 42 times. We will have a funeral for Bo Nix if they trot him out there and say hike, take 3 steps, drop back, and do that 42 times, and pray to God TJ Watt does not take your head off. Because there's not enough prayers in the world to stop that. You cannot repeat this week 2 against the Steelers after what they did in week 1. So overall, when it comes to Bo Nix's debut, what's your concern level? 1 to 10. 1 being there's no concern. It's week 1. Come on, relax. 10 being, we've got a big problem on our hands. It's just week 1, but I'm at like a 3.9. Like, the yards per attempt was the number 1 concern I had for Bo Nix coming into the draft. And wow, is that magnified in his first game. Just week 1, a lot of football left. Take a deep breath, even myself. 1, 2, 3. But that was bad. Okay, third and final, overreaction. Marvin Mims is a bust. Is that an overreaction? No, I don't think it is an overreaction. The guy is getting outsnapped by Devaughn Vele in his first game in the NFL. Like, look at the week 1 snaps. Sutton and Josh Reynolds leading the way. Not a big surprise. Devaughn Vele, this one I wouldn't say caught me like blindsided because he looked good in the preseason and in training camp. But 49% was not a number that I had in my mind for Devaughn Vele's snap count in his first game. Lil'Jordan Humphrey off the practice squad nearly doubled up what Marvin Mims did, your second-round pick last year. So I think it's fair to say Marvin Mims is MIA. We need an Amber Alert right now for Marvin Mims. Get him back because he is gone. I don't know where he is, but he is missing. And I am concerned. This is one of those, no, it's not just week 1 kind of concerns. This is a legitimate, the guy is getting outsnapped by 7th-round picks and practice squad wide receivers. And he was supposed to be a big prominent part of your offense to help replace Jerry Jeudy. Right now, he is replacing KJ Hamler. Like, he's not replacing anyone. So, I think Marvin Mims is very much on a bust path for being one of the Broncos' first, or he was their first draft pick in that draft. Do you think he's a bust? Like, point blank, yes or no? I am trending towards no, and I did not expect to have that conversation after just 1 week. I was very optimistic about Mims going into the season. Hand up, this is looking like something I was just wrong on. Some injury news to get to really quickly. Garett Bolles, he suffered an ankle contusion, according to Sean Payton. So I would not just initially rule him out for week 2 against the Steelers, which, by the way, if the Steelers don't play Russell Wilson, I want to say a lot of worse words, but YouTube gets mad if I do that. But that is chicken shit if they don't put Russell Wilson out there. The world needs Russell Wilson return to Denver. Like, just for the drama. I can't. What's the point watching Justin Fields against the Broncos? We all want to watch Russ come back and play Denver and Sean Payton. Give us the drama. It's an entertainment industry. Entertain us. But Garett Bolles, ankle injury, left in the early second half, and ankle contusion, so hopefully won't miss too much time, if any. I do want to give some shout-outs to the Blue and Orange Club. We will be live for week 2. I'm sorry, no week 1 watch party. Is very hectic here at Chat Sports. But slap yourself. I don't give a buck. I don't give a duck. And John E., I fully expect to see all 3, and then kind of 4th with I don't give a buck being the Mrs. I don't give a duck for our week 2 watch party against hopefully Russ and the Steelers. If you want to get shout outs throughout the entire 2024 season, $100 super chat on Sunday, and we'll toss your name on screen all season long. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you're still watching right now, let me know. Scrolling down to the comment section, just comment any emoji. That way I can kind of get a good sense of who the end of the video crew is, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.